Welcome to this week's episode of Analyzing Chazal. This week we will be analyzing the commentary of the Ibn Ezra on this week's parsha, Parshas Bo. So let's start with the pasuk. Perek Yud, pasuk Aleph. The Torah says, "Vayomer Hashem el Moshe bo el Paro, ki ani ichbadati es libo ves lev avadav leman shisi ososai ele bikirbo." And God said to Moshe, "Go tell Paro, because I hardened his heart and the hearts of his servants in order to put my signs in his midst." The explanation of the pasuk. God was explaining to Moshe that he should go warn Paro about the impending plagues that I will be bringing, as I hardened his heart, and he will not agree to let the Jews out of Egypt. I hardened his heart in order to send him more plagues. The Ibn Ezra. Ki ani ichbadati es libo v'eslev avodov ba'avur she'yorach libam bivo machas ha'arbe. I harden his heart and the hearts of his servants, as their hearts will soften when the plague of locust arrives. The explanation of the Ibn Ezra. The Ibn Ezra is explaining why specifically for this plague the Torah tells us that God hardened the hearts of Paro and his servants. The reason is that the plague of locusts will be so bad that the hearts of his servants will break and they will not be able to stand up to the pressure if not for God hardening their hearts. The type of question we'll be using today is that the commentary is telling us that in order to get a specific result, God needed to do something which on the surface should not have been necessary. Let's stop for a moment with the type of question we'll be using and the information we have until now. Can you come up with the question yourself? Okay, here's the question. It seems from Ibn Ezra that the reason that God also hardened the hearts of the servants of Paro was that the plague would be very bad, and God did not want the servants to convince Paro to send out the Jews. The question is that God already hardened the heart of Paro. And that being the case, is it even possible that the servants of Paro would be able to change his heart that was already hardened by God? The answer, as always, we say the answer comes from the question, which was that after God already hardened the heart of Paro, is it even possible that the servants would be able to convince Paro to let Bnei Israel leave Egypt? The answer is, of course, yes. And it is because we underestimate the power of persuasion to change someone's mind, even in the case of Paro, where his heart was hardened to such an extent that even the plagues themselves could not make him change his mind. But persuasion still could. The practical application. In our lives, we find ourselves on both sides of persuasion. Sometimes we can use the power of persuasion, if done in a proper and sensitive manner, to help a person change and grow in their ruchnius, even if it is against their natural tendencies. However, we must also be aware that persuasion, especially when we listen to the news and other media, can impact us as well, and not necessarily for the good, and cause us to change even our strongest beliefs. Therefore, it is so important to ensure that the things we see and listen to are things that are in tune with the Torah outlook, so we do not take a chance of being influenced negatively by what is around us on a daily basis. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and we'll see you next week for Parshas B'Shalach.